I apologize if I look a little casual, but I'm getting old enough and cynical enough after 5 o'clock I want to go casual. So I hope that's all right with everyone. The second thing is I have been fighting off a horrible cough, so I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to probably eat these cough drops. So if I stutter or stammer, please bear with me. When you guys asked me to speak, I kind of asked what you wanted me to talk about. And there was kind of a long list of things, and I was thinking, I can prepare something and go on and on. It may be something you want to hear. It may be something irrelevant that you go, what a waste of time that was. So I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to give you a couple of things that I really think is tremendously important, whether you are going to law school, thinking about going to law school, whether you want to be an attorney, whether you want to do something else. But a couple things I want you to come away with. Then what I'm going to do is, rather than me speaking about things that you may say, what the hell was that? I'm just going to ask you, what it is you would like me to say that might help you or give you some guidance, okay? So kind of be thinking about that. The first thing I really want you to come away with, and I may be older, and I hope I'm not coming off as a lecture to you or something else, but the thing that I would encourage you to do, if you say, listen, I may go to law school, I don't know that I want to be a lawyer. In my opinion, this is my opinion for whatever it's worth, a law degree and going to law school, and even if you say, I don't know that I want to practice law, is one of the most valuable educations that you're ever going to find. Especially if you go into it with a mindset that what I want to come out of is learning to think logically and rationally. Now, as an attorney, I joke about this, but it's a God-honest truth. Growing up, I would look at people and I'd see someone with a lot of money or good looks or social status and everything. I think, boy, they got their life together. But as an attorney and counseling with a lot of these people who I used to see as successful, we're all crazy. We all are. And I kid you not, we all are. Some hold it together better than others. Obviously, the ones that you see acting out and doing crazy things, they ain't holding it together very good. But I guarantee you, I'm crazy. I don't mean to pass judgment on you, but you're crazy in some way. You got irrational stuff. By going to law school and forcing yourself to actually change your mindset, consciously saying, not only am I going to come here to learn to be a lawyer maybe, but I'm coming here to learn how to think in a logical and rational way. I guarantee you, it's the best education. I don't care if you go out and you want to be a lawyer, a politician, a plumber, a truck driver. It is the best education, bar none. Okay? So, I'm not trying to promote law school. I don't get a kickback from law schools on tuition or anything like that. But really, I strongly encourage you. I get in trouble with my wife all the time because there's a lot of things I don't like about being a lawyer. There are. Being inside four walls is one of them, but I get really claustrophobic, and by the end of the week, my office feels about the size of this desk. But she asked, what do you hope our kids do? I said, well, I don't know that I want them to be lawyers necessarily, but I hope they go to law school. And she said, well, you don't like being a lawyer that much all the time. And I said, but it's that thought process. Believe me, it is that thought process. I can't stress it enough. Second thing I want you to come away with, and I hope this doesn't sound morbid, but it's a real life story and it's really important. I went to school with so many lawyers, well, law students, lawyers now, who really the bottom line was how much money they could make. Or some of them, how do I say this? Some of it was how hard can I poke the eye of society to really ruffle them, just to piss people off. I'm serious. I don't mean to talk frank, but that's the way it is. But I had a deal that happened my first year of law school. It sticks with me. And I mean, it is a very stark reminder that we live in the world we create. And as lawyers, or potential lawyers, going to law school, you live in the world you create. Now let me tell you what happened to me, or what I saw. As a first year law student, you're looking there, and I was an older student, but I was still in awe and insecure and about, hey, am I smart enough to be here and everything else? So you look up to the second year students and third year students. And there was a very attractive third-year law student. And I didn't know her, but everyone said, oh, she's a wonderful person. And she had an internship in the afternoons working for a law firm that fixed drunk driving tickets. Okay? So, people would get a drunk driving ticket, and she would try to take care of it so that they could go to work, do everything else. Now, we live in the world we create. I hope you can see where this is going. One Friday evening, she's coming back from her job in the city, coming back to Norman. Oh, by the way, I went to Norman. I bleed orange. Don't get me wrong, but their tuition was good, and it's a good law school. So I hate to say that about it, but anyway, coming back from her job of getting drunk drivers off, a drunk driver crossed the median and killed her. We live in the world we create. So if you want to live in a world where people respect each other and are honest with each other and are good to each other, then as potential lawyers, that is what you should do. On the other hand, if you want to stick an eye in society's eye, and a lot of attorneys do, I'll just be honest about it, or say I'm in it for the money and I'll say anything to get my client off, I'll say anything to win, then remember, it might come back to bite you in the rear end at some point in time. It might. Now, like I said, nothing against that girl. I understand she was a very nice girl. But we live in the world we create. So remember that. Whether you go to law school or not, you live in the world you create. Okay. One final thing. And that is, especially as students, at least for the majority of people I knew that were looking at going to law school, you heard horror stories about law school and everything else. Listen, the stories are far worse than the experience itself, okay? So just say, listen, people do it all the time. Why am I any weaker than anyone else? But people will freak you out. I remember, if you've got a weakness, if you've got an insecurity, law school will bring it out unless you get your head screwed on straight. So just go and say, listen, how many damn attorneys graduate every year? How many go to take the bar? And just say, listen, I'm smart enough to pass, to do the LSAT and get here. I'm smart enough to do it, okay? So just play it down. Say, there's an old saying. I'm from the country, by the way. I don't look like it, but I am. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. So don't take a molehill and say, listen, it's a big deal. I'm going to make it a great big mountain. Hell, it's not that big a deal. Okay? Now, I'm going to open it up, and I've got a list of stuff that they said I can talk about. So if nobody got any questions or saying what would help me, I can go through this laundry list of stuff and give it to you. But I thought it might help you more just to say, listen, what's on your mind? What are you thinking about? What are your concerns? So anyone? Yeah.
What would your best advice be for preparing for the LSATs?
I got a good story about that. When I went, which is some time ago, what they were looking for in law school, at least a couple of years before I went, was at that time, leading up to it, the law schools were looking for people who had unique qualities, okay? So I'm telling you this, not because it matters today, but just so this story matters. So anyway, I hadn't come to college. I graduated in the bottom 25 percentile of my high school class. I was going to be a farmer and rancher. Had no intention of going to college, let alone law school. But the farming economy just tanked on me. I had no option but to make some changes. So anyway, I wasn't the smartest guy out there. I didn't have very good grades in high school, so when I got in college, I really worked hard. But I had a good advisory committee, and they said, oh, Dal, you got this unique experience with your farming and ranching, and you will have no problem at all getting into law school. And I said, I'm kind of freaked out about this LSAT test. They said, oh, right now it's not a big thing. So we're looking, the law schools are looking at uniqueness. So I practiced a little bit, and every time I practiced, I'd get irritated because it asked these stupid questions. the circus has Bob, Roy, and Jim can only ride a red pony, and Bob can only ride a blue pony, but Bob can ride a green and white pony, you know, and someone's riding this pony, who's riding the pony? And it's like, what the hell does that have to do with anything, okay? So anyway, I didn't work too hard at it. I thought, you know, okay, if I don't do great on it, I don't do great. So I went in with that stupid attitude. And it was a stupid attitude, because when I took it, I got mad, I got angry, and I don't look like it, but I got a temper. And I was like, ugh, you know. So anyway, I was thinking, oh well, and I got my test back, and it certainly wasn't good. It was closer to the bad line, but it wasn't horrible. So I thought, okay, I'm going to still apply. And my advisor said, oh, you know, I know it's not great, but I still feel good about it. So I did. And I'm not going to mention the school because there's, you know, I don't want to insult somebody, but there were certain schools that they say, all you got to be is a breathing human being and you're going to get accepted there. The first letter of rejection I got back was from that school. I'm like, oh, this ain't going good. And the other letters came and they came and you know, anyway. So I didn't get into law school that first year. I didn't. And it was my own fault. I didn't study for the LSAT. So the second year, I really sat down and I'd go take it, and I knew, because I hadn't got in the year before, that a lot depended on this test. So the more I put that dependency on me, the worse it got. So finally I said, I gotta get through this. So what I did, to make a long story short, and I apologize for taking you around the block on this, but to make a long story short, what I did was I enrolled at, and I can't remember the name of it now, but they had a course at Tulsa. And if you enrolled, it was like $800, and they'd go on Sunday, and you could take the test under time conditions. But what I did was I would go 2 or 3 times a week. I'd drive to Tulsa, and it wasn't focused on doing good for the test. It was sitting there focused on not getting mad at the test. And so I'd take that test 2 or 3 times a week, week after week after week after week. You know, I don't remember, my score come up dramatically. So instead of getting mad at the test on test day, I didn't. So I would just suggest to you, and you got to tailor it to your personality, but I would just take as many practice tests under timed conditions as possible. I really would. There's a jillion ways to do it, but that would be my personal advice. Okay? Does that help?
Yeah.
Any other questions, or anything else someone would like to hear? Yes.
What was your path like on kind of undergrad to law school?
I laugh, but how much time do we have? I'll try to keep it simple, but believe me, it was not a path that most people take. I was in law school with a lot of people. They said, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a lawyer. Well, ever since I was 10 years old, I wanted to be a farmer and rancher, and I mean, that's all I wanted to be. So I graduated in the 25th percentile of my high school class. You know, that ain't good, because there was not some, below me there were some not so bright people, and above me there was not so bright people. So that didn't put me too good. But at 25, I just knew without any doubt that I had no future in farming. The harder I worked, I would work from 8 in the morning to 10, midnight at night. And there was just, the harder I tried, the further behind I got. So I knew I was going to have to change. And I came to school originally to kind of find myself. I came to school to party. I hate to say that, my son didn't hear that in the back row. and so when I was here, the more I was exposed to college and everything else, and believe me, I was just I don't look like it today, but I was this cowboy, rural kid, with the boots and the starched shirt and the pants. I'd been to Oklahoma City twice in my life. I mean, I wasn't around. And so the more I was exposed to college and college people and the concept of college education, the more I said, I want to do this, but I don't know what to do. And I would sit and rationally think about it, logically go through it, kind of getting back to my rationale. What can I do? What do I have what kind of college degree? I didn't want to be an accountant and all this other stuff. They said get a major. Finally, I thought, in farming and ranching, one of the things I was good at was negotiating. I would negotiate cattle deals and crop deals and all kinds of deals. I thought I'm good at negotiating, but I didn't understand the underlying law underneath of it and the underlying factors underneath stuff, because I'd see people who were smart at making a deal, but they weren't smart in understanding what the law was, so they may inadvertently break the law, or they may inadvertently step in a hole that if the deal went bad, they lost everything. So that's what originally got me to thinking about law school. My family, on both sides, had never been to college, let alone law school. So I'll be honest, I don't know if any of you fit in that category, but if you do, it's not easy when you think, I'm stepping into that role, because a lot of people, you shouldn't, but look at lawyers and say, ooh, they're this or that, and they're not. But they look at it, and I know my family did, that's kind of out of our range. That was an emotionally hard step to take. So I don't know if that applies to anyone, but if it does, just be aware of that. So anyway, and then, I told you about the law school exam and everything else. I got out of law school, went out on my own for a couple of years. I was in Oklahoma City. Actually had some success, but Oklahoma City is such a huge market that distinguishing yourself's hard. I went to work for a law firm that I called a friend and said, I've been on my own for a couple of years, and I said, I've realized if I'm going to stay in this, because I was always teetering back and forth between law and business, And I said, I've kind of decided I'm going to stay in law as opposed to business, and I really just need to immerse myself in litigation. Where would I go? And he gave me the name of this one law firm. He said, now be aware. He said, the partner of this firm is the devil incarnate. He said, he's evil, he's mean, but you will be immersed in hardcore litigation. And I was. I tell you not. He'd get mad, he'd throw hot coffee on people. He was something. But anyway, did that. After we had Samuel, and he was about a year old, I had the opportunity to go home to my hometown of Alva. It was something that's amazing. My wife and I could never, when we first got married, never imagine living in anywhere but Oklahoma City or a metropolitan area. You have children, and all of a sudden you start thinking different things. I'd been raised on horses and cattle, and all of a sudden I started wearing a cowboy hat in our Oklahoma City neighborhood, and my neighbor told me one day, she said, Dal, you need to sell your house and go home. She said, anyone can see, it's time, you go. And it just happened that there was an attorney in town. I'm not going to brag, but he was the partner, I say partner, he was the sole member of the oldest continual law firm in Oklahoma, and he had leukemia. So he knew that his time was short, and he was looking for someone to take over so that law firm would continue. It was like it was just meant to be. So anyway, I hope that answered your question. I threw a little bit more in there. I hope I didn't bore you with that. Any other things that I think you had a question?
What law do you do?
Pardon?
What law do you do?
I do primarily estate planning, estate administration, real estate, transactional work, and I do an area of law, and it's not the practice of law, but it's really unique, and it's not the practice of law, so I don't have to be a member of a state bar association to do it, but I'll give you this quick example. If I bought an office building 20 years ago for $100,000, and it's now worth $500,000. That $400,000 difference is capital gain, okay? So if I sell that office building and take that money and buy a new office building, the IRS, the way that the tax code is structured, that $400,000 is capital gain, and I got to pay tax on it. Okay, so now instead of having $500,000 that I sold that building for to buy a new building for, I've got about $400,000, okay? But the IRS in the 20s, and then they amended it in the 1980s, came up with this concept of an exchange. And what it allows is basically a middleman, a straw man, they called an intermediary, to on paper at least, take title to that property on sale day. So when on the date that office building is selling, they go through an intermediary, which I act as intermediary. When they sell that on paper, it shows that I am the seller. There's an exchange agreement. I then get the money. So if it's $500,000, I can get the money. It's wired to me. We hold it. They go buy a new office building. On the day that closes, we've got paperwork that changes and shows that I am the buyer for them as a 1031. And I take the money, I wire it to the closing agent, and it's tax-free, or tax-deferred, let me say that. If they ever sell that, cash it out, that capital gains follows them from their very first property to the last property. But anyway, we do that. I was doing it in Oklahoma City, and really when I moved home to my hometown of Alva, which is 6,000 people, I really thought that part of my practice would absolutely die. I thought, you know, Alva, Oklahoma, it's 6,000 people. Who in the world is going to come to an exchange? We have, it's amazing. We do a tremendous amount of business there. It really is. We do it all across the United States. Most of it's word of mouth. I got Keaton here. He's helping us create some websites and some social media stuff for that to kind of start promoting it. As a reason of those 1031s, it's called a 1031 exchange. I've been invited to talk at continuing legal education courses. I've been invited to go to Washington, D.C., Las Vegas. I was at St. Louis last year, somewhere else, I can't remember. But anyway, it is really a unique area of law, and it is really a unique and specialized area of law that by virtue of doing that, it really enhances our real estate stuff, because normally a real estate transactional attorney may set through 2 or 3 transactions a week. But because of these, we're setting through maybe 10 transactions a week, even though we're not actually the attorney, but we're doing it. And so many times we find that they're encountering problems, and we've been through it before, and you say, hey, fix this transaction like this, this, and this, and you can get this thing done. So it's been really cool. So anyway, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, and then a follow-up.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, how did you come into this type of law? I mean, did you learn?
I was really, really interested in commercial real estate. I really was. And that was one of the areas of business that I was truly wanting to go into. So after I found out I passed the bar exam, well, actually, when I was in law school, I took my realtor test. And I worked as an agent for a commercial realtor in Oklahoma City. And so after I took the bar exam, I went into his office and was trying to put some deals together. I knew nobody in Oklahoma City, so it was kind of hard. I just struggled and tried to figure out how the system worked. Anyway, after I found out I passed the bar exam, but before I had become a bar member, they had a CLE for realtors. It's actually CE. CLE isn't, continuing legal education, continuing education for realtors. And it was on 1031s. And I sat there and it was like, wow, that is the coolest thing in the world. And oddly enough, shortly after that, I had one sole client that I wasn't even an attorney yet. And technically I wasn't, but I had a client and I was representing them. And they called me up one day and said, hey, we're going to sell this property. You know anything about these 1031s? I said, yes, I do. And it was just amazing. I did that one. I did another one. I started writing some articles for some magazines and just give them the articles. And that really just led crazy places. And the funny thing is, I remember thinking, my gosh, this is just going to take off, and here I've been out of law school a year and a half, and I'm just going to have money rolling in. So I tried to promote them, and the harder I promote, the worse they got. The less I just sat back and let them happen. They'd pour in, and then I'd say, okay, it's time to promote them again, and I'd do it, and it's like just shutting the funnel off. So I don't know. I've been very hesitant to promote them, but like I said, I got Keaton, and he is quite a guru on this stuff. So. Hopefully he can help me out. So, yeah. Any other question? Yeah.
What would be your best advice for preparing for law school?
This is going to sound odd, and I'm not quite sure how you do this. Maybe this is part of it. I would develop, and this is going to sound very philosophical, okay? But I would work on building my core emotions, because you're going to be challenged. It's like a step back in high school. Now, if you were popular in high school and part of the in crowd, you'll probably like law school. If, however, you weren't, it is just like, college is cool. But law school is like, at least for a lot of people, and me included, was like a step back to high school. And if you weren't in the in crowd, you were in the out crowd. And so it's going to challenge you emotionally. And so I would just suggest putting yourself out there in various ways. Maybe it's public speaking. That's a good way to say, I'm putting myself out there and I'm going to learn that people may be saying this, but I'm going to believe that I can do this. I'm not going to believe what they say, and to hell with what they say, okay? Because there would be, as these tests would come on, law school they don't have 9-week tests or 4-week tests. They got semester tests. And there was people I knew that was in the honors program. Now, I wasn't in the honors program, but they were in the honors program, had straight A's, that were smart people, and absolutely got close to finals, especially that first final. I thought they were going to have nervous breakdowns. I mean, really, I'm serious. Call you up at 2 a.m. Oh my God, I don't know this stuff, da-da-da-da-da, and they needed medication, really. And so you've got to learn to believe in yourself. And what I did, I got where I didn't hang out with those people, because it's like, hey, I know this stuff, And you talk to them 10 minutes and all of a sudden it's like, do I know this stuff? Really? Do I know? And then you start challenging yourself. Like this, one girl called me at 2 a.m. The next night she called me at 10. I said, come over and I'll try to explain this. By the time she got done with me, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It took me a whole day to get back to where I was. And so, don't fall into that trap. Now, I'm not trying to say be unsociable, but know when it is to walk away from it, because there will be. I went to OU. I presume every law school is like this. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be. That there's groups and they're all getting together and they're all in a panic and everything else, and it just builds on it. And there's a time when you say, hey, how's everything going? And then when it goes into the panic, it's like, okay, now it's time to walk away. I don't need that. Okay. And it's very competitive. All these people are competitive. They've all come from high schools where they were top dog, or college where they're top dog, and now all these top dogs are competing. And let's just be honest, you can only have a couple top dogs, and that means somebody's not. And so I would just strengthen your emotions. I know that sounds very philosophical, but I would figure out whatever. I joke. I'm working on a website for kind of confidence, motivation, stuff like that. But find out something you're really scared of and push yourself to that. And if you can do that, then it becomes less of a breeze. Okay? Or it becomes more of a breeze, excuse me. Okay? Anything else?
You said that you were kind of the farming background and everything, and I know that comes with like a lot of commitment. How did that kind of translate into your personal life as being a lawyer? Did you maybe overcommit sometimes, or have to pull back for your personal life because you had a family?
I'll be honest, not as a lawyer, because once I moved back to my hometown, we farm and ranch too, and I have been very, very vigilant about when it's honestly sometimes 4 o'clock, certainly by 4:30 I'm winding down, and certainly by 5 that I'm gone. I'm just like, okay, I'm done, I'm out of here, I'm going to go farm and ranch, or I'm going to do something, but I'm not being here. And now, when I was at that law firm that the Devil Incarnate was at, that was their mantra: is how late can you stay there? And it wasn't that everyone was getting work done. It was just that you're there, looking like it was a fiction, because you'd get there at 7:30, and you'd be there till 7:30, 8, 9 at night. But it wasn't like you were working hard that whole time. You're just there, putting in time. And so, it's like, okay, all we're doing is proving to somebody who could care less that we're committed and we are here, we're going to do it. Come on. I mean, I don't have much patience for that. So, no, I've been pretty good at that. Now, when I was in law school, I probably was totally overcommitted. I would be at law school at 7 in the morning studying. I'd be there most of the day. I'd come back in the evening and study till 10, 11 at night. Now, because I was scared. I was petrified not getting into law school that first year, I'll be honest, I don't mean to share some personal stuff, but I was always am I even supposed to be here? So I was petrified, and I worked really, really hard because I thought I had to work hard. But in the end, it was just my own stupidity that kept me from law school that one year. Maybe it was supposed to be, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, other questions? Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that time of kind of when you had to prove yourself starting early on in your law career, like with the 12-hour days and like other parts of that time?
Yeah, law is a weird field. And I said earlier, and I mean this, I really do. I joke about it and I laugh about it, but we all got our weaknesses, believe me. I've sat behind the desk of some of the most powerful and rich men in Oklahoma, and I can't say the nation, but some very, very wealthy, successful people. And it's almost like being a psychologist. They are sharing things with you that they wouldn't because they're talking about business, and you go, what the hell, this guy is crazy. He's this, he's that. And so law school is, unfortunately, a gathering place for a lot of people like that. Okay, so again, everybody, or most people, now I wasn't because I was in the 25 percentile, but most people have come, they were good in grade school, they were good in middle school, they were good in high school, college, and then all of a sudden, all these people that were good are coming together, and they all want to be the top. And if they're not the top, that means they're a failure. So there is a tremendous amount of pressure on those people who have never tasted failure. There is. And so a lot of it was, and I hate to admit it, but I fell into that group of studying like that I thought, the more I look committed, apparently the more committed I am. Now, I studied pretty hard, but a lot of it was craziness. I'm up there 7 in the morning to 10 at night, and at some point you wear out, and it's like, if I was looking at it today, I said, I should have went home. What am I getting out of this? Now, moving that to a law firm, there's just a lot of dysfunction in a lot of law firms. It is about, and law firms and lawyers, I see it all the time. Oh yeah, I hear lawyers all the time, in court say, oh yeah, we work 12, 14 hours a day. And yet, you call them, you never reach them. And they're always on vacation, and you go, why are they saying that? And I'll tell you why they're saying it. If you really cut to them, they're insecure, and they want people to know, I'm committed, and I'm working hard, even though they're not. And it's like, what? And this law firm that I worked for, that was the devil incarnate, it was very much the same way. They were known as the badasses. And the funniest part of it was, the partner of this firm, in court, he was vicious. I mean, he was vicious. In some kind of negotiation, he was vicious. But if you met him going down the hall, he stood about this tall, and he would, when you walked down the hall, if you met him, he would turn into the wall and look down. He didn't have the emotional strength to look in the eye. It was an act. It was an act. And he was having all of us act. So that's what I say. Now, with that said, you may have to pay your dues. If that's what you want to do, if you say, I want to litigate, then that is the way to do it, is to get in a law firm that does nothing but litigation. It's hardcore litigation. And that's what's expected. That doesn't mean you have to like it. That doesn't mean you have to accept that forever. But that's what I did. I didn't agree with it in so many ways, but I did it because if you didn't, you'd get fired, okay? So you say, okay, I can do this, I can learn from it, it's just a learning experience, but I can't say I enjoyed it, and I can't say I'd recommend it for anyone, okay? Except for experience. And if you go into there saying, listen, this is not where I want to spend my life, but it's kind of like maybe joining the Marines or becoming a paratrooper. It's like, okay, it's hell, but I'm going to do it, and when I get done, I can say I did it, okay? Does that make sense? Okay? Did that help?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Other questions? Yeah.
Did you ever have to defend someone or something you didn't agree with?
Yes, I did. I didn't ever want to do divorce work. I just don't see a winner in that proposition. There's other people that do it, nothing against that. But defense work, and I didn't like doing criminal work. But when I moved back to my hometown, part of the due paying was the court would appoint you on DHS cases. That means the parents are not good parents. They take the kids away. And they might appoint you to represent the children. They might appoint you to represent mom, dad. Normally these families may have 2 or 3 different dads. I was appointed to represent a mother in a case where they were filing to terminate her parental rights. And yes, that was hard because you're trying to do your best. At the same time, you're going, what kind of parent is this? There's stuff that came out and you just go, it's kind of getting back to you live in the world you create. And I'm like, so I have always, I don't know if this makes sense. I have always made arguments that are logical, or try to. There's a lot of lawyers that will make the same argument time after time, even though it's a stupid argument and they know they're not going to win, just because they think they need to do it. I won't do it, and I won't even make an argument that's illogical, meaning it's got so many holes in it. I just won't do it. And so I would look at the logic and I would base my arguments on the logic. And like in that case, it was, listen, she was supposed to be notified exactly of the things she needed to fix in her life, and they hadn't done it. So that was my argument. It wasn't that she's a good parent. It wasn't that she was a great parent, but rather that she just hadn't had proper notification. Now the jury felt otherwise, but anyway. So, but yeah, I have really tried to stay away from that, and that was not of my own making. That was imposed upon me.
Are you able to stay away from it, or there's some?
Now I am. That was a 3-day trial, and actually after I did that, other than a couple other cases, I told the court, or told the judge, I said, Judge, I think I've paid my dues. And he's agreed, and I have not been appointed in 4 years, I think. Knock on wood. Those are not fun. They are not fun. Yeah, other questions? Do you need some more time? I can talk about something else, or if you can.
We're done.
Okay.
If everyone's good.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate it, guys.
Yes, thank you
And,
so much for coming.
oh, you bet. I hope it's helpful. And if you need to contact me or something, I don't know if you got my information, but you can get it. I'll be glad to visit with you or email with you. So anyway, appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.